Healing is often thought of as something that comes from outside, through validation, through success, through recognition. But the truth is, no lasting healing can ever come until you become your own ally. Too many people walk through life fighting a silent war against themselves. They speak kindly to the world, but harshly to their own hearts. They comfort others in pain, but shame themselves for feeling weak. They forgive mistakes in those around them, but hold on to self-resentment for years. This internal battle is what keeps wounds open, preventing true growth and peace. Healing begins the moment you stop being your own critic and start being your own companion. Being your own ally means learning to extend to yourself the same compassion you freely give to others. Think about how you treat someone you love when they stumble. You do not abandon them in their pain. You reassure them that mistakes do not define their worth. You remind them of their strength, their resilience, and their capacity to move forward. Yet, when you face your own struggles, you may do the opposite. Instead of encouragement, you criticize. Instead of patience, you demand perfection. Instead of love, you give yourself judgment. Becoming your own ally means reversing this pattern. It means standing beside yourself even when you fall short, saying, "I am still deserving of love, care, and respect, even in my brokenness." To heal, you must silence the voice inside that tells you are never enough. That voice thrives on comparison, constantly measuring your value against others' successes, appearances, or achievements. It pushes you to chase validation, to run after approval, to believe your worth depends on external standards. But the truth is, no amount of achievement or applause will quiet that voice if you do not learn to stand with yourself. Becoming your own ally is not about inflating your ego, but about recognizing your humanity. It is about knowing that worthiness does not have to be earned. It already exists. You were born with it, and nothing can take it away unless you give that power away. One of the hardest parts of becoming your own ally is learning to forgive yourself. Forgiveness does not mean denying responsibility or ignoring the lessons of your mistakes. It means refusing to chain yourself to guilt forever. Every human being makes choices they regret, speaks words they wish they could take back, or stumbles in ways that leave scars. But holding on to those moments as proof of unworthiness only deepens the wound. Forgiving yourself means acknowledging that you acted from the place you were in at that time, with the knowledge, awareness, and strength you had then. It means choosing to grow from the experience instead of using it as a weapon against yourself. Self-allyship also shows in the way you treat yourself daily, not just in moments of crisis. Do you honor your needs for rest, or do you push yourself past exhaustion because you believe productivity equals worth? Do you listen to the quiet voice within that says, "I need peace"? Or do you drown it out with constant noise because stillness feels uncomfortable? Do you celebrate your small victories, or do you dismiss them because they are not yet the grand achievements you imagined? Becoming your own ally requires conscious choices every day. To honor your body, your mind, and your spirit with care. It means choosing food that nourishes you, words that uplift you, and environments that allow you to thrive. It also requires patience. Healing is not linear. Some days you will feel strong, other days broken. Some days you will rise with clarity, other days you will stumble into confusion. The key is not to abandon yourself on the difficult days. Being your own ally means standing by your side in both light and darkness, celebrating your progress but also offering comfort in your setbacks. It means refusing to call yourself a failure when things fall apart, and instead reminding yourself that setbacks are part of the process. Just as a true friend does not leave when life gets tough, you must refuse to leave yourself when you struggle. When you become your own ally, you also learn to set boundaries. Too often, self-betrayal comes from saying yes when your heart screams no, from overextending yourself to earn love, or from tolerating toxic environments because you fear rejection. But being an ally to yourself means protecting your well-being, even if others misunderstand. It means walking away from situations that drain you, even if it feels uncomfortable. It means valuing your peace over pleasing others. Boundaries are not selfish, they are acts of loyalty to your own soul. Another dimension of self-allyship is the way you speak to yourself. The language you use in your mind creates the atmosphere of your inner world. If your inner dialogue is full of criticism, shame, and negativity, you will always feel unsafe within yourself. But when you intentionally speak words of encouragement, kindness, and love, you create a safe haven inside your heart. This doesn't mean pretending everything is fine when it's not. It means saying, "Yes, this is hard, but I believe in myself. Yes, I made mistakes, but I am learning. Yes, I am imperfect, but I am still worthy." These words shift your energy, shaping your resilience and your ability to heal. Being your own ally also means embracing vulnerability. So many people hide their emotions, fearing that showing weakness makes them unworthy. But vulnerability is not weakness. It is the courage to face life honestly. When you allow yourself to feel sadness, fear, or doubt, and still stand by your side through those emotions, you are proving that your love for yourself is unconditional. Instead of abandoning yourself when emotions get heavy, you become the one who stays, the one who listens, the one who comforts. That is what it means to be your own ally. The transformation that happens when you commit to this path is profound. You stop needing the world to constantly reassure you because you have become your own reassurance. You stop chasing validation because you have already validated yourself. You stop fearing rejection because you no longer reject yourself. From this foundation, every relationship you have shifts. When you are your own ally, you attract healthier connections because you no longer accept less than respect. You inspire others because your strength is rooted in self-compassion. And you navigate life's storms with grace because you know you are not facing them alone. You are walking with yourself. This journey is not about becoming perfect, but about becoming present. It is about choosing every single day to treat yourself with the loyalty you deserve. It is about promising yourself that no matter what the world says, no matter what mistakes you make, no matter what storms arise, you will not abandon yourself. That promise is the foundation of healing, the beginning of peace, and the secret to resilience. To become your own ally is to finally discover the deepest kind of love, the one that comes from within. Pain is often seen as an enemy, something to be avoided, numbed, or silenced. From the earliest moments of life, people are taught to push pain away, to cover it with distractions, to bury it under busyness, or to pretend it does not exist. But the truth is that pain is not the destroyer many believe it to be. It is a messenger, a teacher, and, when embraced with compassion, a doorway to growth. The wounds of life, loss, failure, rejection, betrayal, and disappointment are not meant to define the end of the story. They are meant to carve deeper capacity within the heart, preparing space for wisdom, empathy, and strength. The key that unlocks this transformation is self-compassion. When you choose gentleness over judgment and kindness over cruelty toward yourself, you turn pain into growth. Every scar tells a story, and within each story lies the potential for awakening. Imagine carrying the weight of mistakes or the burden of missed opportunities. Without compassion, those memories become chains, dragging you backward and holding you hostage to shame. But when you approach them with self-compassion, you see them differently. Instead of declaring, "I failed, therefore I am unworthy," you begin to say, "I stumbled, but I learned something valuable." The pain is still there, but it no longer imprisons you. It becomes a stepping stone. Self-compassion transforms the energy of pain from destructive to constructive. It reshapes the narrative, allowing every wound to become a chapter of resilience rather than defeat. The growth that comes from pain is not automatic, it is a choice. Two people can go through the same heartbreak, the same loss, or the same setback, and yet one emerges bitter while the other emerges stronger. The difference lies in the way they treat themselves in the midst of suffering. Harsh self-judgment breeds bitterness, compassion breeds transformation. When you hold yourself gently in the storm, you give yourself permission to heal. You stop demanding perfection and allow yourself to simply be human. It is in this humanity, raw, vulnerable, and imperfect, that the seeds of growth are planted. One of the most powerful shifts that self-compassion brings is the ability to reframe suffering as a universal experience rather than a personal punishment. Pain often isolates. It whispers, "You are the only one going through this. You are weaker than others. You should have done better." This illusion of isolation deepens the suffering, making you feel cut off from the rest of the world. But self-compassion reminds you that pain is part of the shared human journey. Everyone knows loss, everyone knows struggle, everyone knows the ache of broken dreams. Recognizing this truth softens the edges of loneliness. Instead of feeling cursed, you begin to feel connected. Instead of saying, "Why me?" you begin to understand this too is part of being human. Growth born from pain also requires patience. Many expect healing to be quick, like a wound that disappears overnight. But the soul does not operate on deadlines. Just as the body takes time to mend, the heart needs space to process. release, and rebuild. Self-compassion gives you the patience to wait without judgment. It allows you to take small steps forward without criticizing yourself for not sprinting. It whispers, healing is not a race. Growth is not measured by speed, but by depth. With compassion, even the slowest progress becomes meaningful, because you are no longer measuring your worth by how quickly you bounce back, but by how fully you rise with wisdom. The relationship between pain and growth can be compared to the process of a seed breaking open in the soil. From the outside, it looks like destruction. The seed coat cracks, the form it once had disappears. But from within, a transformation is taking place. Without that breaking, no new life could emerge. Pain cracks the shell of who you were, making space for who you are becoming. Without compassion, the breaking feels unbearable, like a cruel ending. But with compassion, the breaking becomes an act of rebirth. You begin to see the potential rising from the soil of your struggle. Self-compassion also transforms the way you remember the past. Many carry the weight of old wounds, not because of what happened, but because of the way they continually relive those memories with self-blame. They replay mistakes in their minds, punishing themselves again and again, long after the original moment has passed. This cycle keeps the wound fresh, preventing growth. Compassion interrupts the cycle. It allows you to revisit the past with gentleness, to acknowledge what happened without reopening the wound. Instead of asking, "Why did I let that happen?" compassion asks, "What did I learn, and how has it shaped me?" The memory becomes less of a prison and more of a teacher. Another way compassion transforms pain into growth is by expanding empathy. When you treat your own pain with kindness, you develop a deeper understanding of others' struggles. Suffering that once made you feel weak now becomes the bridge that connects you to others. You begin to see yourself in their battles, to feel their sorrow as if it were your own. This empathy not only enriches your relationships, but also strengthens your purpose. You are no longer just surviving pain, you are using it to serve, to uplift, and to connect. What once seemed meaningless becomes a source of meaning. There is also strength in vulnerability that comes from compassion. Pain often tempts people to build walls, to hide behind masks, to pretend they are unshakable. But those walls not only block out hurt, they also block out growth. Self-compassion encourages you to embrace vulnerability, to admit, "I am hurting, but I am still worthy of love." In doing so, you discover that your power lies not in denying pain, but in facing it openly. This vulnerability becomes a wellspring of authenticity, allowing you to live more fully and connect more deeply with others. One of the greatest misconceptions is that compassion makes you soft, that it leads to complacency. In reality, compassion is what fuels resilience. Harshness may push you to keep moving, but it drains you of joy and leaves you brittle. Compassion, on the other hand, nourishes you as you move forward, giving you the strength to endure without losing your humanity. It builds an inner foundation that cannot be shaken by failure or rejection. When you know how to treat yourself kindly, you can face anything life throws at you because you are no longer fighting against yourself. Growth from pain is not about erasing the scars, but about embracing them as proof of survival. Scars do not make you less, they make you more. They are reminders of what you have endured, of the nights you thought you would not make it through but did. They are evidence of your courage, not your weakness. Compassion allows you to see your scars in this light, transforming them from marks of shame into symbols of resilience. You no longer hide them, you honor them. Ultimately, self-compassion is the alchemy that turns pain into power. It does not deny the reality of suffering, but refuses to let suffering have the final word. It teaches you that every wound carries within it the seed of wisdom, that every heartbreak can deepen your capacity to love, that every setback can strengthen your determination to rise. Pain without compassion can harden the heart, but pain with compassion softens it, expands it, and makes it capable of holding more light than before. The choice lies within you. You cannot always control the pain that enters your life, but you can control how you treat yourself in the midst of it. You can be your harshest critic, chaining yourself to suffering, or you can be your kindest ally, turning that same suffering into growth. The difference between bitterness and resilience, between despair and hope, is self-compassion. It is not weakness. It is the strongest response you can give to life's inevitable storms. Through it, pain does not become the end of your story, but the beginning of a more profound, wiser, and more compassionate chapter of who you are becoming. Strength is often misunderstood. Many people associate it with toughness, with the ability to suppress emotions, with the determination to keep moving forward no matter what. Society teaches that to be strong is to be unshaken, to appear invincible, to hide pain behind a smile. But real strength is not found in denial or suppression. Real strength emerges when you can look at yourself honestly, with all your imperfections, scars, and struggles, and still choose to embrace yourself with kindness. Compassion does not weaken you. It is the very force that keeps you standing when everything else has fallen apart. When life brings storms, the instinct for many is to fight against themselves. They criticize their reactions, shame themselves for feeling weak, and push their hearts into silence. They believe that self-criticism will make them stronger, that being hard on themselves will prepare them for the challenges ahead. Yet the truth is that this approach drains the spirit, erodes confidence, and makes resilience fragile. Without compassion, strength becomes brittle. The smallest obstacle can shatter it because it is built on denial, not acceptance. Compassion, however, builds strength from the inside out. It allows you to bend without breaking, to fall without losing faith, to struggle without losing your sense of worth. Compassion creates strength because it provides a safe inner foundation. When you know that you will not abandon yourself, no matter the outcome, you become fearless in the face of challenges. You no longer live in terror of failure because you understand that even if you fall, you will still treat yourself with gentleness. That safety net gives you the courage to take risks, to pursue dreams, to step outside your comfort zone. Strength does not mean the absence of fear, it means the presence of compassion that allows you to move forward despite fear. It means knowing you can trust yourself to stand by your own side when the world is against you. There is a misconception that compassion leads to complacency, that if you are too gentle with yourself, you will stop striving, stop growing, stop reaching higher. But compassion does not remove ambition, it fuels it in a healthier way. Harshness might push you forward temporarily, but it does so by depleting your energy and leaving you empty. Compassion, on the other hand, motivates you with encouragement. It says, "I believe in you, and I know you can try again." This kind of motivation is sustainable. It allows you to keep going not out of fear of failure, but out of love for growth. That is true strength, not the desperate sprint born of self-loathing, but the steady journey fueled by self-respect. Compassion also strengthens because it heals the wounds that weaken from within. Pain that is ignored or denied festers in silence, draining energy and clarity. By meeting that pain with compassion, you give yourself space to process, to release, and to move forward. Compassion is like tending to a wound with care rather than covering it up and pretending it doesn't exist. When you treat your inner wounds with love, they close more fully, leaving behind scars that remind you of survival rather than open injuries that continue to hurt. Strength is not the absence of scars. It is the ability to carry them with dignity, knowing you have healed. Real strength also requires vulnerability, and compassion makes vulnerability possible. Without compassion, vulnerability feels like danger, like exposing yourself to judgment or shame. But when you have cultivated kindness toward yourself, you are no longer terrified of what will be revealed. You can admit mistakes, face emotions, and acknowledge fears, because you know you will not use those truths as weapons against yourself. This kind of vulnerability makes you unshakable, because nothing the world throws at you can destroy the foundation of your self-acceptance. Instead of hiding behind a mask of strength, you embody real resilience by daring to show up authentically. Another way compassion builds strength is by quieting the inner critic. That voice inside, the one that whispers, "You are not good enough, you will never succeed, you should be better," is one of the greatest enemies of true strength. Left unchecked, it sabotages confidence, paralyzes action, and fuels self-doubt. But compassion interrupts that voice. It replaces it with a kinder narrative. You are trying, you are growing, you are worthy as you are. This shift does not eliminate the need for improvement. It simply removes the poison of self-hatred from the process. With encouragement instead of criticism, you can face challenges with clarity and determination rather than fear and exhaustion. Compassionate strength is also sustainable in a way that harsh strength is not. Pushing yourself without kindness may bring short-term results, but eventually the pressure will break you. Burnout, anxiety, and disconnection are the costs of relentless criticism. Compassion, however, creates a strength that lasts. It respects the balance between effort and rest, ambition and patience. It recognizes that you are not a machine, but a human being with limits, needs, and emotions. By honoring those truths, compassion allows you to build strength that does not collapse under its own weight. It gives you the endurance to keep going for the long journey, not just the sprint. Compassion also strengthens relationships, and strong relationships are a foundation of resilience. When you treat yourself kindly, you naturally treat others with more patience and empathy. This creates bonds of trust and support that help carry you through difficult times. Strength is not only about standing alone, it is also about allowing connection to sustain you. Compassion teaches you that it is not weakness to lean on others or to accept love. It is another form of strength. By nurturing compassion within yourself, you invite deeper connections that reinforce your resilience when life becomes heavy. Strength born of compassion also changes the way you handle failure. Without compassion, failure feels like a final judgment, a declaration of inadequacy. It becomes something to fear, something that stops you from even trying. With compassion, failure becomes feedback. It becomes part of the process, an opportunity to learn and to grow. Instead of crushing your spirit, failure fuels your resilience. You stop asking, "What is wrong with me?" and start asking, "What can I learn from this?" That shift in perspective transforms obstacles into stepping stones. You no longer crumble under setbacks. You rise because you know your worth is not dependent on perfection. The strongest people are not those who never break, but those who know how to gather their broken pieces and rebuild with love. Compassion gives you that ability. It allows you to fall apart when you need to cry, to grieve, to rest, and then to slowly stand again, not out of shame, but out of love. It gives you the strength to rebuild as many times as necessary because you are no longer afraid of starting over. Every time you rise again, you rise with more wisdom, more resilience, and more authenticity. That is strength in its truest form. Compassion also teaches you balance, the balance between striving and surrender, between effort and acceptance. Real strength is not about controlling every outcome or forcing life to bend to your will. It is about doing your best while also trusting yourself enough to let go when things are beyond your control. Compassion whispers, "It's okay not to have all the answers. It's okay to rest. It's okay to allow life to unfold." This balance prevents the exhaustion that comes from constant struggle and builds a deeper strength that can endure uncertainty. In the end, compassion creates a kind of strength that no external achievement can provide. Titles, wealth, recognition, all of these can disappear, but the strength that comes from loving yourself, from being gentle with your own humanity, cannot be taken away. It lives within you, an unshakable foundation that remains no matter what storms arise. It is the strength that allows you to face the world without fear, because you know you are not walking into it alone. You are walking with the unwavering support of your own heart. Strength without compassion is rigid and fragile. Strength with compassion is flexible, enduring, and real. It bends but does not break. It stumbles but does not fall apart. It feels pain but does not lose hope. That is the kind of strength that carries you through life, that transforms challenges into growth, and that allows you to rise again and again, no matter how many times you are tested. Compassion is not weakness. Compassion is power. It is the deepest form of courage, the truest source of resilience, and the foundation of strength that lasts a lifetime.